If you have never worked or have no experience working with Oracle Primavera P6 because you feel that it's complicated, then this is the course for you. After finishing this course, you will feel comfortable using the basic functions of the Oracle Primavera P6 Professional. First, we will start by creating the new project. We'll create the work breakdown structure and we will set up calendar for our project. I will discuss and add the project activities and will create the relationships as needed. Then I will go through the procedure, creating the resources and assign these resources accordingly. After this, we will learn to create the project expenses. Also, I will discuss about setting up and assigning the project baseline. Finally, we'll discuss about maintaining project schedule, activities monitoring, and printing project reports. This course is ideal for the students having no knowledge and are absolute beginners in handling the Oracle Primavera P6. This course is not for the students who have some knowledge or experience already in the Oracle Primavera P6. So if you are ready, then let's start the course today. Welcome, and in this very first lecture, we'll learn the procedure to create our first project in the Oracle Primavera P6 Professional. Please note that most of the time, the EPS is created by the Primavera P6 System Administrator in your company. So I assume that it's created there already. If not, you can contact your Primavera P6 System Administrator for help. Generally, in the Primavera P6 Professional, EPS can be created easily through the Enterprise menu by selecting the Enterprise Project Structure option there. Okay, so let's start and create our project now. Let's click on the File menu from the top and I will select the new option here. As you see, that new project wizard is opened here. Now I will select the EPS through the Select EPS option. And in our case, it's Enterprise, which is already created there by default in the Primavera P6 Professional. Now let's select plus or assign button in the right side of the window and I will click next. I will type the project ID as BG02. In the project name field, I will type the project name as Preparing the Project Budget. And after, I'm going to select next. We can mention the project start and finish date here, but let's leave it as default at this time. Also, I'll be leaving other options such as Responsible Manager and Rate Type as defaults. Now, I'll click on Finish and you see that the new project is appearing under the EPS called Enterprise. Now I will select the project by clicking on the project ID BG02 and as you see in the detailed form below, here I will click on the Dates tab and I will mention 5th April as our planned start date and I will leave the anticipated start and finish dates as defaults this time. So that's it. We have created our first project in the Primavera P6 Professional already. And in our next lesson, we'll set up a calendar for the newly created project. So see you in the next lesson. Welcome, and in this lesson, our task is to create a calendar and assign it to our new project accordingly. In a calendar, we can define the available work hours for each calendar day, such as holidays, working and non-working days, resource vacation days. Now, from the main menu, select Enterprise, and I will click here on the calendar option. As you see, the calendar window is opened here already. We need to select the project radio button since we are going to apply calendar to our project. So I will click on Add button. Let's select template from the global calendars, and I'm going to select 5 days worksheet template. Let's click Add, and a new calendar is showing there already under the calendar name. I'm going to rename it as a BG02, 5 days per week. Now, I will click on the Modify button, and at the top, I will select Detailed Work Hours per day. I'm going to click on Work Week on the right side. And here, I'll make sure that Saturday, Sunday is holiday. And my timing for all the other days is 8 to 4 p.m., 8 hours a day, every day. And after select OK button and closing this window, the calendar named BG02 5 days per week is created for my project already. Now let's apply this calendar. We can click on our project name, then in the detailed form below, let's click on Defaults tab. Now here in the calendars option, let's confirm if the newly created calendar is applied already. So that's it about this lesson. Now let's move to our next topic now. We have created and assigned the calendar to our project already. Our next step is to create the work breakdown structure, or WBS. WBS means that we'll break down our project work into sections. Let's click on the project from the top menu, and then I will select WBS option. As you see, it's opening up the WBS window in front of us, which is showing the project name that has start and finish dates displaying in the Gantt chart area. Next, we need to right mouse click on the WBS name, then click Add, and a new WBS name is appearing on the screen. Now let's create 2 more in a similar way, and please note that for now we'll keep it simple and we'll limit ourselves to the 3 WBS only. Okay, so next let's double click on the first WBS name, and I will rename the first WBS as Phase 1, Estimate Cost. Second WBS element as Phase 2, Plan Contingency, and the last and the third WBS as Phase 3, Get Approval. As you see, we have created all 3 WBS elements required, and if needed, we can sort them out by clicking on the WBS ID in ascending or descending order. In our next lesson, we'll add the project activities under each WBS element. So that's it about this lesson. Let's move to our next lesson now. In this lesson, we will create the project activities under the WBS elements that we have created in the previous lecture. Let's say we have three phases in our project. In the phase 1 and phase 2, each WBS element have three activities respectively, while the last phase called phase 3, we have two activities created under it. So that means our project comprises of total 8 activities only. And in order to create the project activities, please note that we have to switch to the activities window now. And for this, from the main menu, let's select the activities option from the project menu. I will right mouse click here on the phase 1 estimate cost, and then I will click on the add option to add the activities here. As you know, in this phase, I will add 3 activities for now. Now, after this, let's rename the activities to estimate cost activity 1, estimate cost activity 2, and phase 2 planning. Similarly, we can add 3 activities by right mouse click on the second WBS element, phase 2 plan contingency, and then I will rename these activities to plan contingency activity 3, and plan contingency activity 4. And phase 3 planning. Next, let us add activities for our third WBS element. And in a similar fashion, we will rename the activities as Get Approval Activity 5, and Get Approval Activity 6. Now, as you see, we have defined all our project activities under each WBS category as needed. So that's it for this lecture. Let's move to our next lesson now. We created our project activities before, and now let's define the relationship between these project activities that we have created earlier. First, I will click on the activity that I want to assign a predecessor activity. And as you see in this case, I will click on the estimate cost activity 2. And after, let's click on the assign button in the details form below. In this window, let's select estimate cost activity 1 and let's click on the plus button for assigning this activity as a predecessor of the estimate cost activity 2. And as you see here that the finish to start relationship is already appeared in the detailed form below. Now again, in a similar way, I will click on the phase 2 planning and assign estimate cost activity 2 as a predecessor to the selected activity. And then I will click on the plan contingency activity 3 and assign the phase 2 planning as a predecessor. Now I will click on the plan contingency activity 4 and I will assign the plan contingency activity 3 as a predecessor to this activity. Next, I will click on the phase 3 planning and I will assign plan contingency activity 4 as a predecessor to this activity. Now for the activities in the phase 3, I will click on the get approval activity 5 and will assign the phase 3 planning as a predecessor to this activity. And lastly, I will click on the get approval activity 6 and I will assign get approval activity 5 as a predecessor to this activity. Since we have defined the relationship between all the project activities already, so our next step is to schedule these activities in the Primavera P6 Professional. So for this, I will click on the Tools menu from the top and I need to select the Schedule option here. And as you see, immediately after this, we'll see the finish to start relationship appeared between our project activities in the Gantt chart area. So normally this is how we can always define any type of relationship such as finish to start, finish to finish, start to start, or start to finish between our project activities as needed. So that's it about this lecture. Let's move to our next lesson now. In this lecture, we'll learn to add resources to our project schedule. And these project resources can be in the form of material, labor, or non-labor resources. And after, we'll learn to assign these resources to the different project tasks. So let's start, and from the top menu, I will select on the enterprise and click on the resources option. As you see, that will open up the resources window in front of us. And after, I will right mouse click and then I am going to select add option to add resources to the resources database. Now here I will enter resource ID as BJT001 and resource name as preparing project budget. In fact, that is our project name. And now I'm going to select resource type as labor. Then in the details tab below, I will change the defaults units per time as 8 hours per day. And remaining settings I will keep as defaults. Next, I will add resources under preparing project budget. So let us add 2 labor resources under preparing project budget for now. Now let's right click on this and I will modify the resource IDs as JC and JM respectively. Now we can type the resource name can be any names such as Jacob and Maria. Then in the Details tab, I will change the default unit per time to 8 hours per day. So this is the procedure that we use to add resources to the project resources database in the Primavera P6. And in the next video, we'll learn to assign these resources to our project activities as needed. In our previous lesson, we have learned the procedure to create resources for our project. Now we'll see that how these resources can be assigned to the activities in our project schedule. Now to complete this task, let's click and open Project menu from the top. And here I will click on Activities option. And as you see, it will open up the Activities window in front of us. But now we have to make sure and select the activity that we want to assign the resource. And after, in the detail form below, we are going to use the Resources tab for resource assignment. So now I will click on the Estimate Cost Activity 1, that is our first activity. And after, in the bottom under Resources tab, I will select Add Resource button here. And it is opening up a new window here. Now I will assign Jacob to our first project activity by clicking the plus icon on the right. Then I will click on Estimate Cost Activity 2. And in the Resources tab, I will select Add Resource button. Similarly, again, I will assign Jacob to our second project activity by clicking the plus or assign icon on the right. As you see, we have assigned our resource called Jacob to activity 1 and activity 2 already. Similar way, I will assign Jacob to other activities in phase 2 and phase 3, except two activities that are called phase 2 planning and phase 3 planning. Since the required resource for these two activities is Maria. So that's why I will assign Maria for planning phase 2 and planning phase 3 in a similar way. And this is how we assign resources to project activities in the Primavera P6 Professional. Previously, we have already learned the procedure to create and assign resources to the project activities in Primavera P6 Professional. Now, in this lesson, we are going to learn the procedure to assign expenses to a certain activity. Now, for this, in the Project Activities window, let's select the activity called Phase 2 Planning. And after, in the detailed form, we will select the Expenses tab here. Now, let's click on the Add button to add new expenses item and we will click once more to add another one. Now we have to rename the first item as boarding and lodging and the second one as car rental expenses. Now in the budget cost field, we can enter the budget available for every activity. In our case, let us assume that the budget available for boarding and lodging is $2,000 and for car rental it is $1,000. Let's update these expenses here. Let's say the actual cost for the boarding and lodging is $1,500 and the actual cost for the car rental is $700 only. Now, if we update these values in the actual cost field, and if you can observe that the remaining cost field is automatically updated by the Primavera P6 software. And please note that we can also view the various costs such as labor, non-labor, material, or total cost, and expenses details can also be seen and observed in the summary tab if needed. So that's it for this lesson. See you in the next lecture. In this lesson, we are going to learn the procedure that we can use to create and assign a certain baseline to our projects. Now, for this, I will click on the project from the top menu, and here I'm going to click on the Maintain Baseline option. Now, as you see, the Maintain Baseline window is already displaying our project name here. Now, I need to click on the Add button on the right side, and Add New Baseline window is appearing here. We will confirm Save a copy of the current project as a new baseline, and after I will click on the OK button. We can see that the newly created baseline B1 has appeared in the baseline name, and I will select baseline type as a management sign-off baseline. After, let's press close button on the right side now. Since our project baseline is ready, so our next step is to assign this newly created baseline to our project. So now I will select the project from the top menu, and here I'm going to click on the Assign Baseline option. I will select Project Baseline as our newly created baseline, and similarly I will select Preparing Project Budget B1 option under Primary in the User Baselines. Then we'll click on the OK button. Now, if you observe this in the Gantt chart area, and you see here that a new blue bar has appeared under each project activity, which is actually showing the project baseline that we have assigned to our project already. So that's it about this lecture. Let's move to our next lesson now. In the last lecture, we have learned the procedure to enter the related expenses to our project activities when using Oracle Primavera P6 Professional. Now, in this lesson, we are going to learn the procedure that we can use to update the status of our schedule and we can keep our project's activities up to date accordingly. As you know that once a project work is in progress, and it is very important that we should maintain and update our project activities on regular basis. Now, to update our project schedule activities, its status on regular basis, first we need to be in the activities window, and the activities window can be opened using the project menu from the top. And from here, we can open the activities window if not opened already by selecting the activities option. After, we need to select the particular activity for which the status update is required. Now, in our case, let's select the activity called Phase 2 Planning. Now, in the detailed form below, we'll click on the Status tab, and as you see under Status heading, we can update the status of each project activity here. For example, when the activity was started or when it was finished, the expected finish date, duration, percentage complete, etc. Here we can update and maintain all our project activities status according to our project requirements. Now, please note that we must update the project progress regularly and enter the start and date as well as expected finish date of every project activity here in the Status tab. So that's it about this lecture. Let's move to our next lesson now. Let's understand the procedure that we can use to report our project activities in the Oracle Primavera P6 Professional. Okay, so let's click on the project from the main menu. I will select the activities option here, and it's opening up the activities window. Now I will right mouse click anywhere in the activities window, and after I'm going to select the filters option here, and as you see, it's opening the filters window in front of us. Let's say in our project schedule called Preparing Project Budget, if we want to show and see all the activities that has constraints defined, then for this, in the select field, I will mark Has Start Constraint or Has Finish Constraint options in the filter window. And after, I will click on OK button. As you see, it's displaying all the activities that has constraint defined in our project schedule. Now, similarly, if we want to see all the milestone activities in our schedule, then I will mark the milestone option in the select column. And once we click OK button, as you see, it displays all the milestone activities in our project schedule. In the similar manner, we can also report and display the project activities that are not started, in progress, or have completed already. Also, we can define our own filters as per our project requirements as needed. In the right side of the filters window, we can utilize the new button for this purpose. And if we can click on the new button, it's opening up the new filter window here. And in this window, we can define our new filter name and can add the specific criteria using the Add button on the right side as per our project needs. Please note that we have various filters that are defined already by default in the Oracle Primavera P6, such as completed, critical activities, in progress, and not started activities, etc. If you don't find the filter that you are looking for, then you always have the choice to define your own filters as described earlier. So that's it about this lecture. Let's move to our next lesson now. Printing reports is easy in Oracle Primavera P6 Professional. Let's click on the File menu from the top. And here I'm going to select the Print Preview option. As you can see here, it has opened the Print Preview window in front of us. Now, if you need to do some adjustments in the page margin, header or footer sections of your layout, then in the upper left corner, we will select Page Setup icon to accomplish these tasks. As you see here that by selecting the page and margin tabs, we have the option to select page orientation, paper size, and margin settings as needed. Also, I have the options to select header and footer tabs for modifying the section settings. And once the required changes are made, then we can click OK button on the right side to apply the changes to our layout for printing. Now, in the Options tab, we can change the start and end dates, activity table, and Gantt chart settings if needed. And once the setup is complete and we are okay with all the settings, then we can click on Print icon on the upper left corner to set the layout for printing. And this is how we can print the reports in Oracle Primavera P6 Professional. Okay, great. We have covered all the basic but important concepts that are usually required to create your project schedule using the Oracle Primavera P6 Professional. Now, in order to make your learning experience better, please feel free to comment if you have any. And I'm sure you enjoyed learning with me. I hope to see you in my next project management course in the near future. Happy learning and thank you for joining me in.